Der Klett-Cotta-Blog ist immer noch auf der Leipziger Buchmesse und neben mir sitzt jetzt Patrick Rothfuss. Patrick Rothfuss. I'm very happy to meet you here on the Leipzig Book Fair. You started your author's career with Name on the Wind in March 27. You won the Creel Award and you climbed up in the New York Times bestseller list. Wise Man's Fear came out in March 2011, and in these days Klett-Cotta published your last book, The Slow Regard of Silent Things, translated by Jochen Schwarzer under the German title Die Musik der Stille. You have remarked that the title speak about the music and the English title about the things. Is there a great difference?
It's the title I knew was going to be untranslatable into other languages. In I think every other country other than England, it's the music of the quiet or the music of silence. Yeah.
It's an element in the Underthinger. That's okay for you.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew that there would be no way. One of my friends actually tried to translate The Slow Regard of Silent Things into other languages and then back into English, and it always turned out to be a garbled mess. It was kind of funny watching that happen.
I have read some summaries of The Slow Regard, but I would like to ask you here to give us a very short summary of your book. It would be interesting if the author himself says only some sentences.
No, you should never ask an author to summarize their own book, because either they will hopelessly self-promote, which is never good, or they'll just lie to you. You can't trust us to be objective about our own books. The thing that I'm worst at is attempting to summarize a story. If I could say it any shorter than that, I would have written it shorter than that. No, I'm very, very bad at summary.
Why did you write the small book? It is due to the importance of this Underthing and to the importance of Orie as a mysterious, enigmatic character. And Orie is the main person who have a key function in your story, in the world you have created.
Orie's been a favorite character of mine for a long time, and she's a lot of other readers' favorite characters too. So it seemed like she was a natural choice to tell a little bit of an extra story about her. But it wasn't like I thought, who should I write a story about? It's that I had an idea for a story with her in it, and that's why I wrote it, really.
On your website I found one sentence: names are important as they tell you a great deal about a person. Could you tell us something about the name of Orie?
Well, I think it's significant. You learn in the first book that Kvothe effectively gives her that name. I think that's very important to their relationship, and she talks about that a little bit in this book.
The names of the places in the Underthing help us to create in our mind a known map of the Underthing. In German there are Enderorte, other places, and the Grund der gelben 12, the ground of the yellow 12, I think, and Port. These names have a certain sense.
Yeah, I worked with all the translators because a lot of the names, you can read them in many different ways in English. Some of them are little jokes or little, there's hidden meanings in the names, but that doesn't translate very well. Mm-hmm. And so I worked with my translators to help them understand what was in those names so that they could do as much as they could to bring some of that sense of playfulness into their own translations.
But these names are not only fantasy names; they have also a certain signification for the map of Underthing. Isn't it so?
Yeah.
Orie is not the narrator of the story, but the reader will know the Underthing with Orie's eyes. Isn't it so?
Yeah. You definitely see this through her eyes, and she's not the narrator, but a lot of this is definitely in her voice.
Does she have a sort of washing constraint? She always washing her hands She even produces her own soap.
Yeah, she absolutely does. That's a big part of her life.
What's the sense of this scene with the production of soap?
I beg your pardon?
Of the production of soap. What's the sense of this scene in your book?
Well, I don't really like to explain why things are in the book. I prefer to tell the story and let people make their own decisions about it. If I say, this is what it is, then it kind of kills the story. I prefer to bring the story out there and then let people discuss it.
It's up to the reader to make something on your book.
It is, and like I could say certain things, but if I wanted to say those, I would have already put them in the book. I prefer to leave certain things ambiguous, certain things to be nebulous. Otherwise, it sort of stifles the reader's ability to go in and experience the story on their own.
Orie has a very special relationship to things. Some of the things which she observes or deals with seems to become her own life. For example, Orie seems to be obliged to provide the right place to things. What is the sense of these things?
She feels an obligation to make things right where she lives or with things she finds. She feels an incredible sense of obligation to fix the world, to make things as perfect as she can.
We do not want to reveal too much secrets of the book. Also, I would like to know who is this Foxen who provides light. It is not a person, rather a thing or not a thing.
Many people have asked that, but again, I
have read no interview.
Yeah.
I have no interview. It's my own questions.
Yes. Oh no, I'm saying that many other people have asked me that already, but no, that's a secret that belongs in the book, and I prefer to leave that to the minds of the reader as well. I could have told more about Foxen, but I choose not to.
In the other thing, Orie has a companion, her master Mandrake, also in her imagination. He's only in her imagination. He learned her that every chemical procedure needs patience, and the greatest part when you deal with any chemical procedure is waiting. And Orie has much time in the underworld, another thing, and she's waiting for someone who will come in 7 days.
Yes, yeah. She. It's obvious that she is educated. You know, she thinks about these things that she's learned in her past. You know, she spends a lot of time ruminating about the proper way to do things, and it becomes clear just hearing her think about the things around her that she's received a lot of education.
Mm-hmm. It's now difficult to ask you some things of your book when you say I don't want to explain it.
Yeah, it's something.
I know very well, but it's all my art to find some explications about it and to see if my review, which I have written, is right enough, because I have written the review. I have not read other interviews, and I've written my questions.
It ends up being very tricky because this story is the reason so many people are so curious about Orie is because she is so mysterious, and the reason people are curious about the underthing is because the underthing is very mysterious. So in some ways, one of the major things this book has to offer is you learn more about Orie, you learn more about the underthing. But if I tell too much, then all of that mystery gets taken away, and as soon as the mystery gets taken away, then it would become very boring. So I was kind of walking a tightrope all the way through writing this story. If I don't tell enough, then people will be unhappy, and if I tell too much, then then people will be unhappy. So I felt like I was balancing all the way through this story.
You're very right. There are many books of our publisher house where I will never ask the author, who is the murderer?
Right, that's exactly it. Except there's no one central event that is a mystery here. A lot of the mystery is like, why is Orie the way she is, or what does it mean when she behaves in this way? And those are good questions. Those are questions that I always hope people wonder to themselves as they're reading the book. But it's questions that if I answer them,
yes,
then nobody has to wonder anymore, yes, and then it ruins the book effectively.
Yes, yes. I have a next question, and please don't say not only yes, but explain me a bit of your aesthetic of literature, because you will see that I have already felt that you will not give an answer of all questions. But because one question is, the under thing hides other secrets. Why it is a broken world? Would you say something about it, or do we pass this point and let the reader discover the secrets of the under thing? Yes, I've already felt that you will not say very much about it.
The joy of getting to explore a little bit of the under thing is one of the joys of the book. In terms of, and the readers who have read my other books know something about the under thing anyway. They know about it already because Kvothe has gone down there and he's experienced some of it. It's something that a lot of people have been curious about, which is part of the reason that I knew they would enjoy seeing more of it in the book here. Why is it the way it is? Well, that would be giving away a lot of the secrets, not just of this book, but of the entire world and the other two books as well.
The next question I give you perhaps my answer of my own. What is the relationship between fantasy and the real life? When I looked for something in my room, I thought very, very much of your book when I have a look to all things, because the fantastic world has an influence of some attitudes in the real world. Is there any relation?
I think there's a bunch of different ways. Some people think of fantasy as escapist literature. You read fantasy because you can't deal with the real world, and you want to escape. And I don't like, do they say that in German? Is that a term, escapist literature? I think that's an awful term, because if you want to escape means run away and you never come back. But nobody does that. I mean, very few people run into fantasy and never come back to reality. Those people would be highly delusional or insane. I think fantasy can be a retreat, because sometimes the world gets very, very heavy. Especially these days, it feels like there are so many things that are going wrong with the world, and so much can be so dark so often. And so it can get really difficult to live in this world every day. And so I like to think of fantasy as offering a retreat, where you can come back a little bit into fantasy, and you can get away for a little while and relax, and then come back
with another view with another point of view to the world.
Another view, or even if not another view, because that is another thing that fantasy can offer. But if nothing else, sometimes we come back simply feeling refreshed. Mm-hmm. It's like, your job can be very hard, but like no one can work in the fields for 24 hours a day. You go home, you eat a meal, you sleep, and then your body feels ready to go work again. And in the same way, our minds deal with this world every day, and it's heavy. It's heavy. And so we can retreat from this world somewhere else and then come back ready to engage again. That's how I feel about Terry Pratchett, who just passed away yesterday, which is a terrible blow. When I can't deal with the world anymore, for years I've picked up one of his books and I'll spend all day reading one of his books, and at the end of it I feel like the world isn't as bad a place as I thought, and that people can be good, and then I come back to the world and I can deal with it for a little while longer.
Last question. At the end of the Slow Regard, you tell us that you love Orie. The writing of the novel and the reaction of your beta reader has transformed your relation to Orie a little bit.
I learned a lot about her writing this. It took a long time trying to write her voice and get her voice right, learning how she thinks and how she behaves. When I first thought about this story, I thought that Orie would be kind of a trickster, kind of more of a playful character. And she is very playful, but she's not a trickster. She's not just someone who is playful. There's a lot of very serious things in her life, and in a lot of ways her life is terribly tragic. But yeah, I came to know her a lot better, and I really, in the same way that you might like have a crush on someone that you only know just a little bit, but then you can't really love them until you know them better. I got to know her a lot better in this book, and so now it's not just a crush. Now I feel like I really love her.
You mentioned on your website about 80 passages in your book which you have transformed or corrected after the reactions of your beta reader. Did you also change a little bit the character of Orie?
No, Orie's character has always been the same. What I change when I go in and I work on the story, it usually ends up being the presentation of the character, the presentation of the story. I need to find the best way to bring it to the reader, and that is very tricky with a character like Orie, where if you show too much or if you show it in the wrong way, it just doesn't work. So that's what I was doing, is trying to gauge the best way to show her. Almost like if you see a photographer taking pictures, they're always moving the lights around. Orie is always there, but I needed to find out like how much light I could put on her to show her off the best way.
The presentation of a character depends also of the things around her.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it, her behavior is so odd. Trying to bring that behavior, make that behavior sensible to the reader was also a huge challenge. That was one of the big things that I would ask my beta readers about, to try to get information from them about that.
Who should read your book?
Oh, I don't know if anyone should read my book, but if you read my first two books and you're curious about Orie, then this is a good book for you. If I can tell you who shouldn't read the book, if you read the first two and you don't really care about Orie and you just want the third book, then this book isn't for you. It does not have. It's not a continuation of Kvothe's story. It's not the third book. If you're looking for like a lot of action, if you want battles and armies and orcs and dragons, it's like this is probably not your book. But if you're curious about kind of a gentle, soft, sweet, strange story, then maybe you might enjoy this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Das Buch Musik der Stille von Patrick Rothfuss ist bei Klett-Cotta, bei dem Reihe der Hobbit-Presse, gerade erschienen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.